Okey-dokey, it's 6 o'clock. We are a quorum. Tina Walters, chair.
Oh, me. Christy Evans, vice chair online.
At large. Large.
Russell Byerly at large.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item number 3. Do I have any general public comment? Any general public comment from the new general that are just walking in? Okay. Before we continue, I just want to say that we're going to move item number 6 up to after we approve the minutes, and then we'll have the public safety update after that.
Chair, because we like Brian to get to bed on time to work on our energy thing.
So number 4, approval of the minutes for December 12th.
So that we approve the minutes of the December 4th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right. Now we're going to have Brian Beffert. Hi, Brian.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, thanks. Shotzi, how did you know it was past my bedtime already?
Because I saw you at the meeting 20 minutes ago.
Well, thank you, everyone, for your time, and I will try to make good use of it. As most of you know, we have had some very interesting and informative conversations around geothermal and solar resources in Gerlach and how we might put some of these resources to work to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions, lower energy bills, and maybe create a battery backup system for the community center and maybe some other buildings. Our past work has produced a feasibility study for a solar electric microgrid and a feasibility study for a geothermal district heating microgrid. Our next steps are to develop detailed engineering schematics and investment plans so we can make these happen. I'm always on the lookout for opportunities to continue and fund this work. The latest is the Department of Energy's Community Microgrid Assistance Partnership, which will provide technical assistance to help us develop either the town's geothermal district heating microgrid or a solar electricity microgrid, maybe both. So I'm here to hear any thoughts that you folks might have about this project and ask for your blessing to move forward with this application.
Do you have any questions for Brian?
Brian Shotzi here. So my understanding is you're getting a letter from the GGID. Do you also require a letter from the CAB?
Yes, I have learned that I do, and it's a simple letter of support, and I'll be happy to provide a template for your review.
Do you happen to have it so you could read it to us so that we could actually think about it tonight? Or
sure. I mean, I could read. I just finished so I apologize. I don't know if you've ever done federal grants before, but they're pretty complicated.
Yes.
And so I was misinterpreting, and I thought we had to put together a memorandum of understanding, and I was incorrect. It's simply a letter of support. And I could read what I wrote for the GID, and it will be largely the same if that works for you.
One moment, let me check with my other board members.
Yeah, I think that works. That works for me. Yeah.
Okay, yes, please.
On behalf of the Gerlach Citizens Advisory Board, I'm writing this letter of support for Washoe County's application for the Department of Energy's Community Microgrid Assistance Partnership with Washoe County and other partners. The CAB has welcomed our experience and partnership during the DOE's Energizing Rural Communities Prize. This project allowed the town of Gerlach to take several steps forward to learn more about the several potential pathways to move toward our goal of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We have completed an energy audit of the town and now have a baseline of energy use, as well as a characterization of the types of energy we use. This will inform our recommendations for energy needs, as well as conservation and reduction efforts moving forward. The UNR Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering has completed a solar microgrid feasibility study based on our energy audit and use characterization. We also have in hand an older feasibility study for a geothermal district heating microgrid powered by our local abundant geothermal resources, literally running under Main Street. With this research and these feasibility studies in place, our next steps are to develop a detailed engineering schematics and investment plans for the implementation of these potential microgrids. The DOE CMAP opportunity aligns perfect for our situation and needs. More than 100 miles from Reno, from the Reno metropolitan area, Gerlach is a remote and under-resourced community. Our electric grid is fragile, and it fails all too often in both summer and winter, leaving our small community exposed to extreme heat or cold. Propane is our primary source for heat, which produces climate warming emissions and leaves us vulnerable to rising energy prices. The CMAP program gives us the opportunity to develop cleaner, more resilient, and more affordable energy infrastructure for our town. We appreciate the consideration, and we look forward to partnering with Washoe County and other partners to continue our journey toward climate resilience. That's the letter. And obviously it's just a draft and you're welcome to change.
Brian, it sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I appreciate all the words that were in there. I did hear geothermal was discussed in the 1990s and earlier, I have no doubt. And the solar part is what excites me, because I know I moved here because the blue skies are here and the solar's here. And you missed my compliment to you on the GGID about the fact that you were still contemplating how we can make the community center a resilient unit. In case we lose everything here, we have a place to go where people can get heat, warmth, electricity with the solar. So I appreciate that part. I think the letter is phenomenal.
I agree. I like
Thank
the
you.
letter a lot.
Thank you.
Christy, you have a question?
I do. Brian, thank you so much as always for everything you do. I'm curious, so what does the grant, or does this kind of specify what the power generation looks like for a microgrid? Like or is this part of this trying to figure out how we might do that?
Exactly. So what this is a technical assistance award. So I think there will be some money, but I think mostly it's someone who's smart in energy development who can come in and help us go from where we are and what we know so far to develop the details that and the expertise that we need. And ultimately, the product of this grant would be those detailed plans that we can then take to a funder or take to a grant and say, this is ready, it's ready to develop, please fund it. Or help us develop a fundraising plan and we can start going after the money. And so it's an award that will help us develop the expertise and the information to allow us to develop these.
Fantastic. So ideally, at the end of that, we have a much better idea of what in Gerlach is practicable and feasible and all that good
Right.
stuff.
All of that.
Details.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And three-phase power, aiming for that. I'm thinking about your pizza
yes,
ovens,
yes.
and we got to get there.
Yes,
That
for
would
sure.
be amazing.
Russell, you have a question?
I move that we approve the letter as written.
Oh, I just have to make a comment. This is not agendized as for action because we didn't know there would be a letter, so I just
Discussion.
wanted to put that out there.
And I apologize. I wasn't
there's a
aware.
deadline, right?
There's a deadline of the end of the month. And so I apologize, we won't be able to do this at the next meeting, but if there is, yeah, I don't, Candy, I defer to you on how proper procedure would happen, but I'd be happy to provide a letter for review for the committee.
Can we do it? Can we do a special meeting, Candy?
You could do a special meeting and this is a Brian question, can the letter be written as I'm Tina Walters as a member of the Gerlach CAB? Could it be 5 different letters of support or should it come from the CAB as a whole?
I think the CAB as a
Okay.
body would probably be best.
Okay, we can hold a special meeting, Tina. for the
Okay,
purpose of
all
that.
right, we'll hold a special meeting to approve the letter. Oh, the public comment.
Oh.
Do I need to ask public comment about the letter, about the
Well,
public meeting?
so the motion's been made, but there's not going to be any action. So at the special meeting, we would call
Right.
for public comment.
Right, so we'll call a special meeting to approve the letter, and the public will be able to comment on the letter before the end of the month.
I'm sorry for the extra work, but hopefully it'll take us in good directions.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Brian, government is complicated. We have to go through a couple of twists and turns. Thank you for navigating this with us.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Brian? All right, now we're going to go to the public safety updates.
Everyone, Deputy Cruz with the Sheriff's Office. I did want to share with you that our admin is outfitting myself and Deputy Stapleton with automated external defibrillators for our vehicles. Quite a few of the calls that we've had lately have been medical in nature. That being the case, it's a positive for us to be able to show up and at least deal with that particular set of issues. So wanted to let you know that's going on. Other than that, pulling people out of the snow who get stuck, and we'll try to keep it to that for now. I'll take questions as usual.
Any questions for Deputy Cruz?
All right.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. Chief Pelt?
Evening, Don Pelt, Fire Chief for the record. Wanted to let you know for the month of December, Gerlach, we had 14 calls for service. 4 of those were medical. Only 1 was transported to the hospital. There were 3 motor vehicle accidents and 1 false fire alarm. We did have 1 fatality in the area, not in the community, but in the area. A lady committed suicide by train out at Flanagan on Christmas Day. For the year 2024 calendar year, January 1st through December 31st, here in Gerlach, we had 131 incidents. Of those, 59% of those were medical in nature and 41% were fire or other. So that's where we stood for the year. On a much sadder note, I'm the bearer of bad news this evening, and on January the 3rd of this year, Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribal Council voted to end our contract with the community of Gerlach and Washoe County. I protested as much as I possibly could. Mr. Brown came to the council meeting and did his very best to continue the contract and convince the council not to make this move. Unfortunately, the new council that was placed that very night, we were not able to get them to understand that with our budget cuts at the lake, we're having to brown out just like you. And they could not seem to understand that if we didn't have Gerlach, that they would have their firefighters from here down there, and that's not going to happen. The sad fact is we're probably going to have to lay off our Gerlach firefighters, and we will still be browning out in Nixon 4 days a month. However, the end of the period would have been around May the 5th for our last day to be with you. However, Chairman Wadsworth and I had a discussion regarding it, and we are going to continue the contract till midnight, June the 30th, which is the end of the fiscal year for Washoe County. So that they have ample time to figure out what the next steps are going to be. But we will still be here continuing to do services. We also did receive some ARPA funds from Washoe County that we are going to be placing into effect, which means that between now and June the 30th, instead of having 4 days a week browned out, we only be browning out 2 days a week. The days of which we will be browning out are tentative. We are looking at least Wednesday because that's a half day for school, I believe.
They get out at 3.
Yeah,
on-
it's early
yeah,
release though,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a shorter day. That's one of the days we're looking at. However, everything is wide open on the table. If you folks have any suggestions as to which days to brown out instead of the 4, please let me know, or Jonathan, so that we can accommodate that as best we can. For those of you who haven't noticed, we have a Truckee Meadows ambulance here. That was not part of this at all, of this equation. It's just that the ambulance here is broken down. And unfortunately, there was no provisions in the contract for us to provide the ambulance. So Truckee Meadows sent up a spare of theirs for the community. We are operating.
Where's the broken one right now?
It is in the repair shop. Was sent to the heavy shop in Reno, and they sent it out. They had sent it out to do some extensive work a few months ago, and it came back. So they're arguing about the warranty work on it because a lot of the problems are the same problems it had when it went in. So Washoe County is endeavoring to make that other outside entity repair the ambulance at no cost to the community. So I just wanted you to be aware that that had nothing to do with this, but I did post on the social gatherings that a Truckee Meadows ambulance was here, but it's our people that are operating it. It's not Truckee Meadows at this point. I want to tell you all on the board, County Manager Brown, Commissioner Herman, I cannot tell you how absolutely devastated I am personally. I feel I have failed you in this effort. I wish I had better news. I don't. Unfortunately, I'm taking an absolute pounding down at the lake. Everything's become my fault now that they don't have any money either. So, but that's not you folks' problem, but my concern for you is, you will get the very best of us from now through June. I promise you that. We will do our very best to continue to serve this community with the utmost in professionalism and respect. And I am truly, truly sorry that we are not continuing this collaboration between the county and the tribe. And I'm sorry, I wish I had better news for you folks.
Is there a meeting we can go to change their mind in the
There,
future?
there are council meetings every 2 weeks. It is the first and third Fridays of every month. They are open to the public. So of course you can come in during public comment, or you can contact the tribal secretary and request to be on the agenda, should you want to be on an agenda item, so that they could actually possibly make a decision for you, like have a vote, like uh, unfortunately, like we were just talking about here with your letter. If it's an agenda item, then they can take action.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just hear what you have to say, and that's as far as it'll go.
Okay. Can you send me all that information?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, we will get you something out.
Great.
And I'll answer any questions if I possibly can. And again, understand this is not what I wanted by any stretch of the imagination. This is not what Manager Brown wanted or Assistant Manager Solero or Commissioner Herman. I mean, we all we're swinging for the fences for Gerlach. Trust me, we were. And I'll answer any questions you may have. And
Chauncey?
And I appreciate the fact that you came here and discussed the fact that the hours were wrong and things happened with the contract. It's a new beginning for us, but it was a 6-year beginning. We've been working on getting the fire department self-sustainable and or sustainable for Gerlach for 6 years. We've gone through a lot of unimaginable things. It took almost 5 months to get a single sentence in this letter of understanding and contract that we set with the tribe. And this is my bust on myself. I never once asked, why didn't I meet with the tribe? Not once. I never said, why am I not including a meeting with the tribe? Why aren't I asking for a meeting? And I just thought of that as you spoke about this. Never once have we actually had a conversation together. We haven't talked to the tribe mothers or the tribe fathers or any of the council down there. We had one gentleman come up here in the 9 years I've been here from the tribe and speak. Bless his cancer. I hope he's well. And there's been a lot of complications, and this is just another bump in the road, a ripple effect. Okay, how do we fix it? I think you guys might be chatting in the right neighborhoods. I'd be more than willing to get in there and have a chat with them and find out how we can do this better. The money was not bad. We did fail to account for salaries. I never asked to read the contract. I didn't understand any of how you guys balance hours for the fire department. I got all that. And my inner soul saying, why weren't we in conversation with the people we were partnering with? Why did we just leave it to Washoe County to partner with us? Manager Brown has worked hard for this town. He's good. Our commissioner adores Gerlach and works hard for her. So I appreciate you attempting to fix this. There are some questions I still do have, though. Have we attempted to remediate the financial problems? Are we financially impacting the tribe? Are we doing better or worse? Is training still going on? Does everybody feel like they're comfortable with their firemen? Or are they receiving enough training? The brownouts have hurt this community. It's been uncomfortable to decide whether you can get sick or not sick. And I imagine my Paiute neighbors are going to feel the same, because safety should be guaranteed in a democracy. In a democratic Republican nation, it should be guaranteed. We're having a hard time with this. How do we do better? Do we have suggestions on how to do better?
well, thank you for asking that, Shotzi. I have racked my brain trying to think of anything possible to fix these problems. The shortages are there. Unfortunately, the tribe did put out some funds. We tried to fix it with the ARPA funds, but unfortunately, because of the dates of the ARPA funds, it had to be applied to the third year of the contract and not going backwards to make the tribe whole for what the tribe had expended. That being said, that kind of placed a bad taste in in the mouth of the tribe.
Yes. And
Uh,
I knew nothing of this.
and-
I knew nothing. I understand when you figured out the hour difference and the contractual differences and what we were doing with money on the differences. How do we do better?
I don't have an answer at this point for that question. I wish I did. I wish I had the solution. Trust me when I tell you, if there was anything I could do on my end, we would definitely do it to get it
You
done.
felt I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm not
Uh,
trying to find an answer that you can't
No,
pull
I-
out
I-
of somewhere in the past. I'm saying, can we ask for help earlier on how to write a contract that I'm uncomfortable with writing and I'm not really sure what I'm doing? So if we're going to negotiate with the tribe and Washoe County, we need a table meeting because I can tell you,
That's-
nobody in Gerlach was at a single table meeting.
Shots. We'll discuss that.
And
some other time.
I understand it. And the contract went through multiple layers of people. With the tribe, it went through the executive team and the tribal's attorneys. With the county, it went through the administrative staff at the county level and through the district attorney for review, way before it went to the tribal council and the county commission. We had as many people possible as we could getting weighed in on it. Truckee Meadows Fire assisted with it in some aspects. My crew was involved in drafting it. Of course, I've never done a contract like this before, so I was plowing new waters with you. But I mean, I think if anything, the one thing that was missed was actually getting the community on board, and not just here, but at the lake. Because as much as you weren't involved, the community of Nixon, Wadsworth, and Sutcliffe were not involved either. It was a government to government endeavor. And maybe if it had had community input at the beginning, it would have made a big difference. Unfortunately, hindsight is 2020. And
25. So thanks for the report. And that was great. We're going to try and do better in the future, aren't we?
I hope so.
Good.
You got others
Yes,
too.
Christy, and then Jonathan Pritchard, and then Manager Brown.
Chief Pelt, I'm really appreciative of you coming to tell us this. I'm heartbroken. I'll just say that to hear this news. I have no doubt that you and Manager Brown and your staff fought as hard as you could. There's no question in my mind that you did. The presence of you and your team in our community has been like just a game changer. I'm glad we have at least another 6 more months with you, but it's hard to imagine anyone else being more a part of our community than your team. It really felt like a community. It wasn't just a service being provided, but it was like you guys as a part of the community. So that's going to be really hard to lose. And I just appreciate everything I'm sure that you've been doing to try and fight for keeping that alive. I just want to clarify, do I understand correctly? Is it your impression that the tribe, and for understandable reasons, didn't want to keep the contract going because they felt it was a drain of resources for them? Is that the main sticking point?
Yes, in a nutshell, that's it. They are under the belief that we're spending more time and resources for Gerlach than we are for the tribal folks. I have done my very best to try to explain that the two are totally separate. Although these are tribal employees that come here every day when they're here, they are not paid for by the tribe. They're paid for by the county to protect the folks here at Gerlach. But again, when folks don't understand the contracts and all they see is There's fire trucks going to Gerlach and personnel going to Gerlach, and they're browned out. They don't get it. And I've tried to explain to them that our 20% budget cut for 2025 is forcing us in Nixon to brown out 4 days a month. Now, obviously, it's not as bad as it was up here, but to them, they think that by doing away with this agreement, the firefighters that are here will be there and able to cover those 4 days. But there is no budget money in the tribe's budget for those 4 days a month. So therefore, unfortunately, it's a sadness because right now, the way we tried to explain it to the community there was on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, there are personnel here. And if there were no calls here and they had a call at the lake, this ambulance or fire truck would come down and get things started. And then we would bring in mutual aid. Likely, if we were round out up here, the tribe's ambulance or fire truck would come up from down there to cover up here. But I could not get that through to folks at all. Manager Brown tried desperately to get them to understand. I don't know if it's they don't understand it or they don't want to understand it. But that's what happened.
Yeah, thank you so much for that explanation. And I can completely understand their perspective. I mean, that it makes sense that would be how it's perceived. Obviously, sitting from our side of it, there's a real value, maybe value to us to have a shared resource that is within the same geographic region when you're talking about emergency services. So, from practical standpoint, it obviously makes sense to share that resource, but that's heartbreaking. But thank you, Chief Feld. I appreciate you letting us know.
And let me be very pointed about this. I do foresee us signing a new mutual aid agreement with whatever department comes to Gerlach. So we are still going to be your closest, nearest fire truck and ambulance to your community. And I will see to it that we have a mutual aid agreement to continue to assist, just like we had prior to us having the contract. So.
Thank you, Chief Pelt. So I'd like, I'm going to say Captain Pitchard next, and then I want Manager Brown, but Candy, can we table number 7 for now?
Absolutely.
And then go from Manager Brown to Commissioner and Manager item?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. All right, Captain Pritchard?
Tina, if it pleases the board, if Manager Brown wants to speak about this particular topic first, before I give any updates, that's fine. That's
Okay.
completely fine with me.
Okay, Manager Brown?
Well, actually, hang on. I have a question for Chief Pelt first.
Oh.
Is it your impression, because it seems like this isn't necessarily just about the money. It seems like some members of the tribe were never happy with this arrangement. Does it seem like the tribe would be interested in continuing this contract if we find all the money, or would they still not be interested in serving Gerlach?
I think that's probably a 50-50 problem. I think if they found the money and we could fix that part of it, that would make it a lot easier. But I think you're going to have a certain percentage, probably half of the tribe, continuing to think that the resources aren't being provided for them, that we're providing for others instead of them. And I think that, to be very pointed and honest, that is going to be the hardest challenge we would have to face, is convincing those folks that this is paid for by Washoe County and not through the tribe. And but right now, all they see is their employees are coming north and they don't get it. But I think that's part of the problem.
Okay, so if we found the money, that might not be enough.
It might not be enough. You know, I mean, I can't say for sure what goes on inside the commissions or the council's heads, but I'm sure it would be a very lively council meeting on that topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief Pelt. Manager Brown?
So for the record, County Manager Eric Brown. And the first thing I'd like to share is Chief Pelt's account of what took place is exactly my experience as well. So there isn't any difference in what he saw and heard and what I saw and heard at the tribal council meeting last Friday night. I think to answer the question, my perspective on the question that was just raised is there is a large portion of the council that is very sensitive to why are we serving non-members. So just the optics of that is an issue, even if we had all the money we needed to do whatever we needed to do. That said, I'm here to first of all thank Don, because in these situations, I've seen a lot of leaders who don't stand up and tell the truth. He's telling the truth, and I appreciate it, and am committed, as we are at the county, to continue to work with his organization going forward. I do have some rays of hope tonight that Don's not aware of, because after the council meeting last Friday, Dave and I just started beating the bushes to see what we could do to come up with solutions. We are not happy with this community not having service. And the commissioner knows that, shares that sentiment. And so we're going to continue to work to do everything we can to see how we get this taken care of, if possible, before the 6 months is over. I didn't know the 6 months was there, but that's good news also.
Chairman,
Yeah. So what are we doing? I would say the most promising discussions we've had so far have been with RIMSA. It turns out RIMSA has a similar arrangement with Tonopah and some other rural communities that do not have medical centers. There's no medical care providers in those rural communities. And they found a way to provide services using RIMSA paramedics or EMTs or both. And so tomorrow morning, we're going to have that conversation and try to unpack what did they do in those communities. Can that work here, at least for the medical side of our challenges here? We think that could be a promising outcome. Truckee Metals has, as Don said, been very helpful in terms of bringing expertise to this challenge. You all know probably that Chief Moore is retiring at the end of this month. So you didn't know that, huh? Yeah. So good for him. But I think for me personally, for Barry over at RIMSA and other people in the first responder community, he has been one of the leaders that has helped us kind of pull things together. He will be missed, but in the time we have him, we're going to try to see what we can do to identify any other sources of funding that might be available for firefighting or for the fire part of the puzzle. So I don't have any answers for you tonight, honestly, but we ain't quitting. We're going to dig in and see what we can do to bring you some solutions that make sense before the contract lapses. Any questions for me?
Yes, please. Shotzi? So my understanding when we started this contract process, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
My understanding when we started this contract process, Shotzi for the record, 4 or 5 years ago, we were actually paying for this contract and we did not quite write the hours right enough for Gerlach. Therefore, we're lapsing in our monies paid towards the tribe and our help. Is that correct?
Yes, there was a,
Okay.
there was a challenge in the budget.
And we're basically paying for that out of county money, which probably comes from the PILT money aggregated for this neighborhood.
No, it's coming from ARPA money or the general fund.
ARPA money or general fund. Okay, that's right. You did say that at that one meeting with the GGID or maybe the CAB. And I believe the PILT instruction writes that it's for schools, fire, and health. That comes for us, our 3.7 million. I haven't hit anybody up on the county in this in a couple of years.
I think it's actually
So,
4.2 this year.
4.2?
It's
Whoa, we're making more money. Good job. So I'm wondering why we can't find enough money. And I want to go back to a comment that Chief Pelt made earlier. Either they can't understand or they don't understand. And I'm wondering if the sentence at the end is, I may not be able to explain this to the tribe enough to say, we're paying for the services that are coming to Gerlach. It is not coming out of your money. I know they got a 14% decrease in their budget. Everybody's going to get a decrease in the next couple of years. So we're paying, actually, Washoe's pounding. I'll give you guys credit for that. You guys are paying, but our money comes through various sources of financing that go to this. And is there any way, after the 4 to 5 years we worked on that contract, including almost 9 months, to get one single sentence correct? Is there a way we can possibly arrange a communication circle that says, hey, we're helping each other. We're paying for each other. It's not all coming out of your budget. We all feel a little deprived. It is 2025, people. Get a grip. What can we do? Because really, not having medical care up here at all is harmful. And I know you know that. I know everybody knows that. And I just want to make sure it's on the forefront of the menu. That there is money out there somewhere. We can find money somewhere. It's difficult. It's hard to collect the quarters out of the couch. But there are fundings. So what are we going to do collectively as A, community can go down and interact with them, or B, we as the Citizens Advisory Board, is it legal? Candy, can we arrange to have, a CAB meeting in, I don't know, in the in-between lands or whatever we need to do? So we're all communicating on the same page, because their feelings are hurt. Our feelings are hurt. Their livelihoods are hurt. Our livelihoods are hurt. How do we become the 2,200 square miles that we're responsible for?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to advise on like a joint meeting or something like that, but I could certainly look into that and discuss that with leadership and cross collaborate with the tribe potentially.
Hoping none of my other board members object. I think that's a brilliant plan.
Thank you, Candy.
I do think, Eric Brown for the record, watching the presentation that Don made to the tribal council, it's clear to me that we need, and this may sound like blinding flash of the obvious, but we need a, for lack of a better term, regional approach. It doesn't make sense to be hunting for grant money or funding for just Gerlach and Empire and leave them out. It doesn't make sense to me for them to be doing stuff. And so we're going to have to work on that. And I think one of the things we have to look at is maybe the boundary for Truckee Meadows and Rimza. Rimza has the whole county in their franchise, but there are carve-outs for Gerlach and Empire and Incline Village. They're willing to revisit that. So we're going to work on it. We're not going to give up on it. My personal feeling is the county would be happy to participate in any kind of roundtable, but those people are angry. And they're angry because they think, some of them, not all of them, some of them think that the citizens of Gerlach and Empire are utilizing their resources and that the county slipped them a fast one. And we tried our best to give them the candid answers. That wasn't well received. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Manager Brown. Captain Pritchard?
It's Captain Pritchard for the record. Before I give my update, I want to confirm, Chief Pelt, that you, at this point in time, are under the impression, based off of direction you have been given by the tribe, that the 3 full-time staff that are currently serving the Gerlach community will be laid off July 1st at 12:01 a.m.
At this point, 3 employees of the tribe, yes, will be laid off. Whether they're actually the ones assigned to Gerlach or assigned to Pyramid Lake, that remains to be seen. However, we are looking at some other options to keep those 3 employees continuously employed by the tribe. So we have not given up on our employees at all. We want to make sure they understand that we are still swinging for the fences to keep them in a job. We don't want to see anyone laid off. But like I said, we are working on other forms of funding avenues to keep those bodies in place.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So moving on to some updates regarding the Gerlach station, Gerlach Fire District. Over the course of the month of December, I worked very closely with Connie Lucido. She's the grants administrator for Washoe County. Some of you on the board may be familiar with her or have talked to her before. We did successfully submit early for the Assistance to Firefighters grant to purchase, hopefully, some much needed new equipment for the Gerlach station up there. Of which that grant was submitted on behalf of Gerlach Fire only, with the help of Washoe County helping me get that grant submitted. We are looking at other grants as well, prior to knowing what was going to happen on January 3rd, for additional equipment. I've also approached the county in regards to the other FEMA firefighters grant that is coming up here soon, which is the SAFER grant, of which initially when we discussed it in a meeting, it was kind of shunned upon because they've had bad success with it in the past. However, the funding for that has changed drastically. So I'm continuing that discussion with our county partners to try and continue funding for staffing if need be for the Gerlach community. I did get the flyers out for Vial of Life. As some of you may have seen at the last meeting, I think I left them there for you guys for the December meeting, along with the Emergency Medical Responder Course Interest flyer, of which I've had nobody contact me for interest in taking that course from the community. It was posted up at the community or the senior center at the post office. I'm not sure where else it got posted. Now, to tie into the events from February 3rd. I have met with or requested to meet with Dave Solero. I've sent numerous emails to him once I heard the news of what occurred on January 3rd, requesting a meeting with him to discuss the transition plan, because initially I was under the impression as well as it would be May when we'd be departing. However, found out Monday morning that we're staying there till the end of the fiscal year. However, I've not had any response from county or assistant county manager Solero yet, so I'm still waiting for that. That said, the discussion will include discussing next events, next steps. I have worked with a couple of other staff and come up with a possible budget, and also a request to the county to somehow figure out how to become Gerlach Fire by itself and not have to utilize REMSA, not have to utilize other agencies like we have in the past, of which, again, I'm still waiting to meet with the county to discuss that. But I wanted to bring that forward to you guys so you know that I still care about you guys a lot. I'm not leaving anytime soon. It was very devastating news when Chief reached out to me and informed me of the events of January 3rd at that council meeting, and then met with me that night, along with my partner that I work with up there. So I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep pushing forward to continue to do the best I can to get where we need to go. So we're not without services at 12:01 a.m. on July 1st. Other than that, that's all I have for the CAB. If there's any questions, I'll entertain them. If there's not, you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Captain Pritchard. Russell?
So how does this development affect planned trainings for this year? I assume this means the AEMT Academy for this fall is not either canceled or at least not going to be available to Gerlach volunteers?
No, that's not the case. Again, it's going to determine on what happens next steps moving forward. For us, there is still a plan for an advanced EMT class, whether that is there in, initially hosted there in Gerlach or if it's hosted down at Pyramid Lake is the unknown. But it will be this fall. We did request additional grant, or in that AFG grant I did submit with the county, we did request quite a substantial amount for some fire academy training funds along with EMS training funds as well. So we will hopefully have that paid for. If not, we'll be submitting for a grant anyway to the state EMS office when their funding renews in July for the class.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Christy?
If I can real quick, just keep in mind, our neighbors in Gerlach will always, as long as I'm chief at Pyramid Lake, will be welcome to attend classes at Pyramid Lake when they are offered. And I don't see a reason to charge the folks at Gerlach for those courses. Again, it's important to me that we continue to help our neighbors as best we can, where we can, and we're still going to be mutual aid partners. So if there's anything we can do in our end to help teach your volunteers, then we will be happy to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Christy, and then Carl.
I just want to say thank you to Manager Brown and Chief Pelt and Captain Pritchard for all the effort that I'm sure you've been putting into this. It is, I'm just deeply appreciative. I know that you've been working hard, and so I just really want to thank you for everything you've done. I can completely understand how the tribe may have a perception of it, and as Shotzi said, I don't think we as a community have done much to let them know that how much we appreciate that they had this contract. So that's kind of on us, and lessons for the future. But thank you everyone for all your efforts. It's really heartening to know how much you care about us. So thank you.
Carl, you have a comment, question?
Carl Kopak for the record. I'd like to thank Chief Peltz and Captain Pritchard for their ongoing efforts to resolve this problem, and Manager Brown for coming up this evening, and also for his efforts to find us a solution going forward. In terms of what we might be doing, I would propose everything. Talking to the tribe, planning for a future without the tribe, and as well, taking care of what we can do in terms of the vegetation that's on the ground now. I'm looking at my television, seeing Los Angeles burning, and knowing that without fire protection, even with fire protection, all can be lost, but for getting the fuel load down that is all over the place around here. And if we do go with whatever the future is with fire protection, some sort of auxiliary to just take care of the landscape around here, which is just a persistent problem with all the weeds and everything, would be enlightened self-interest. And I'm willing to take the lead on that fire auxiliary, if it was to something like that, just to deal with the fire breaks, the fire that, and abating the fuel loads that are just wildly obvious, and they're going to be wildly obvious when they catch on fire willy-nilly, and the winds kick up and the whole town, we can prevent this. We really can. We're just taking care of the huge brush piles and whatnot. Let's just get on that. While we wait to get our fire, the first responders that situation resolved. I'm encouraged that there is a future, but without the other point that I want to make is it's not just Gerlach out here being Gerlach. We're a forward operating base for a huge amount of tourists that come out here. If it was just Gerlach, we could, back in the day, there was, as I recall, when I first got here, was a volunteer fire department taking care of a small community, and it kind of got overwhelming taking care of all the wrecks that would come in through from the people out of town. And thank goodness we professionalized this outfit and whatnot, so Gerlach doesn't have to respond to every hunting accident and whatnot that's coming through. But goodness, it's the lines of communication, there's a lot going on out here that's not Gerlach. And to put it all on Gerlach to take care of all that is a little ridiculous. There's 70,000 people that come through Burning Man, and then all come at once. But, over the course of the year, all those folks are coming out. Not all of them, but also the hunters and the rest of the tourists, the Rocketeers. So having first responders beyond just the sheriffs, not just the sheriffs, is vital. And I'm looking forward to having that network handled as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chief Pelt, for letting us know. And Manager Brown will figure something. Any more comments? All right, we're gonna skip number 7 and go to Commissioner and Board Member items. Commissioner Herman? Hi, welcome.
About to get unmuted. All right. Well, I know this has been a painful meeting for you all. But I was just heartbroken when I heard the news. Of course, I've been with you guys since the very beginning. We had a volunteer fire crew that was just awesome, and they did such a good job. And then all of a sudden, there was nothing. And then we had those heroes, Chief Pelton, our manager, county manager, Brown. And I mean, they were really heroes in bringing us the fire service that we've had over the last year or so. And so that gave us something to look forward to. Now we got to get it back, and we got to have a stable, permanent fire, however it's set up, that works for you guys and works for everything. I agree with Shotzi that I feel PILT money should help with this. I am in absolute, total 100% agreement with that. And I've talked with Chief Moore, or not Chief Moore, I'm sorry, County Manager Brown about that. And I'm going to keep pushing on it. But I know that they've never stopped working on it, on getting you fire protection, which you definitely need in emergency services for people that have problems. So don't give up on us. We'll get there. Okay. And just keep your chins up, and we'll solve it. We've got till June, into June, and it's amazing what you can get done in 5 months. So give us a chance, and we're working hard for you. Yeah, we'll get something done, and we just we're just a little slow right here at this point, but at least you're covered for the rest of this fiscal year. So God bless you guys. We're rooting for you. Okay. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Any questions for Commissioner Herman? County Manager Brown?
Coming to
Oh.
see us again.
Is Manager Brown on the agenda next month? Candy?
He is for his annual update.
We can't hear you without a mic. All right, Manager Brown?
Into the future doing technical stuff.
Record County Manager Eric Brown. I will be back next month's meeting to provide the state of the county remarks that I always do in the first quarter. So I look forward to seeing you then, and I know I will have an update on this matter.
Great. Any questions for Manager Brown or Commissioner Herman? Yes, I did.
Tina. Sorry, Captain Pritchard. I
Captain
do
Pritchard,
have
yes.
one question for County Manager Brown. Should I be copying you on requests for meetings with you or Dave? Or what's the best avenue to reach out to you to request meetings?
Yeah, you're welcome to do that. I have had him eyeball deep in 2 other things.
Okay.
So it's my fault why he's not getting back to you, but we'll get back to you.
No problem. I'll copy you on the request then.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, board member items?
Thank you.
Shotzi?
Don't mind if I do. I'm no longer on GGID, but I've sat on both boards, CAB and GGID, and I see a couple of new members out there attending meetings tonight. And I think sometimes it's important to remind the Citizens Advisory Board, because we talk about Gerlach a lot. We are not just Gerlach at the Citizens Advisory Board. We run from Nixon to the California border, and we run from Sutcliffe to the California border. We even touch a little bit of Idaho, I think, on our far right corner. So while butts in the building are important, and I do appreciate all the people who are here tonight, it is very important. But we're also Duck Flats. We're also Bahia. We're also on the other side of the mountain when you go over the railroad tracks to the left. When we talk about issues here, it's not just here in Gerlach, because our fire department also does that. And so does our sheriff's department. They're responsible for 2,200 square miles. Just a couple of people, 2,200 square miles. And that's why we fight so hard. And I actually, in the 10 or so years I've lived here, never actually thought about going down and talking to the people in my neighborhood, as in the Paiute natives. I've talked to Duck Flats, I've talked to Bahia, I've been across the mountain in Cold Spring, done a couple of things, but that is, I think, one of the best things I've ever done in the 10 years I've sat around here, because we are neighbors. They drive through our neighborhood, we drive through their neighborhood. And life-saving capabilities of our fire department, that is critical infrastructure for the whole hood. So I'm grateful for this meeting. I'm grateful for the input, the work you guys have done, the work Chief Peld has done, the work you guys are doing on and melding into the coordination of the neighborhood, and the fact people are coming. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to mention that we're going to have Gabrielle Enfield next month talk about the art trails. And
She will be speaking about the art trail and a housing update as well.
a what?
A housing update.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Any more board member items?
I'm sorry, can you elaborate on a housing update?
Yes, let me pull up her email. Sorry. She said she called it the housing rehab project.
Oh, yeah, that's, was it Stay Together Northern Nevada, the nonprofit that got
She
a
did
grant?
refer
not too-
to an acronym. It was like something NN, so probably I think she called it RTNN, but yes.
Remain Together,
Yeah, so I don't have the full details yet, but she did indicate she would be speaking about the Gerlach Trail and that.
I believe they got a grant from the county commissioners for a feasibility study about, was it renovations to help people stay in their homes as they age, that kind of thing? and to be conducted in Gerlach. Does that ring a bell? Sound familiar to anybody? Okay, great. Thank you.
Any more board member items? Okay, great. Any public comment?
Tonight was the shortest meeting of the GGID in 12 months. And we're on average an hour and
Any more general public comment? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.